14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out, wait a minute, I'm talking now, if you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar?
It's a crazy world, crazy world. Somebody's gotta have to save you. It's a crazy world. It's a crazy world. Somebody's gotta have to save you.
All right, people, post-debate time. Here we go. The debate is actually wrapping up right now, but we had a quick internal discussion and we decided to get ahead of some of the other shows. I know you have a million shows you can either watch on cable or online tonight to get some post-debate recap, so I appreciate everybody jumping over here and joining us. I'll try to do it a little bit differently, perhaps with a little more humor than everybody. But I have to say, this was... it was sort of obvious, I think, in some ways, because what did we get? If you listen to my show from this morning, or if you saw the tweet that I put up, my tweet prediction, that more important than the two people up there. So there's three things, right? There's the personalities. That's one thing. Donald Trump, Kamala Harris. Then there are the issues. That's important to a certain degree, to a certain set of people. But what this is all really about is the narrative. And what we saw right now, what is finishing up right now, was a rewriting of the narrative. The narrative of what you are now going to see is the hyper-competent Kamala Harris is the winner, and You're going to see a new narrative being laid out in front of us. Trump, old and angry. Kamala Harris, competent, commanding of facts, happy, smiley. But that is really not what happened. So I guess what we're going to try to do right now is kind of debunk what I think. I'm going to debunk the narrative that is being written as we speak at this very moment. And I thought we'd start really before I get to it, I want to throw a tweet up from Liz Wheeler in just a second. But I think the main takeaway from this debate as it pertains to the mainstream media and David Muir and this Lindsay Davis, this was a 3-on-1. Like, if this was professional wrestling, we would have thought this was a bit unfair. They fact-checked Donald Trump repeatedly, dishonestly at times, and they did not. They pushed Kamala's lies and did not once go after Kamala for any lies. So it was an abject clown show farce, period. I actually think, I'll give you some of the bumper sticker stuff right up top, I think Donald Trump did a hell of a job. He really did do a hell of a job. When you're getting attacked every which way and you are standing next to a person who will lie about everything. And you might go, Dave, what do you mean lie about everything? Well, let me show you this tweet from Liz Wheeler. I think this will set up the show nicely. You know Liz, she's been on the show many times. Kamala has lied about late-term abortion. Yes, she did. We'll get into that. Very fine people, which they're still doing it. It's just absolutely incredible. She lied about January 6th. She lied about the bloodbath comment. Yes, the crime data, border security, absolutely. Project 2025, fracking. And she wrote, the ABC moderators are a disgrace. They're propaganda, Pravda. They've sold their souls. Yeah, that is just right. Kamala Harris, every single thing that she said, almost without exclusion, was a lie or a distortion, and she knows she can do it because the two people sitting there were in cahoots to make sure she could get away with it. And by the way, Donald Trump, you could say all you want about Donald Trump, and he should know that he is up against all three of them. And I think he did an admirable job here. And for people that have been waking up or taking some of the red pills or something, maybe they really saw that clear thing tonight of what an absolute farce the mainstream media is. And that Kamala Harris, I don't think she believes a word that she said. I don't think she believes in anything other than attaining power right now. It did get off to a bit of a comical start. This was the open where Kamala introduced herself to Donald.
Kamala Harris, let's have a good debate.
You see, have fun.
Thank you.
Welcome to you both. It's wonderful to have you. It's an honor.
He should have been like, I had no idea who you are. Thanks, lady. Kamala Harris, that's what it is. Okay, Kamala Harris. All right, so let's just get into some of the clips. This was Kamala Harris being asked about the economy, and she talked about being brought up as a middle-class kid.
Your opponent on the stage here tonight often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid, and I am actually the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America. I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy.
Oh, do you? I mean, it's just meaningless drivel. So she was brought up middle class kid, okay, fine, and she has a plan and aspirations and dreams and everything else. There's nothing granular there. There is nothing real and tangible there. Are you going to stop printing money like you guys have? Are you going to lower taxes? Are you going to get rid of regulation? Are you going to get the government off the back of small businesses? Like, there's things that you could actually say, mostly that would scale back government, that would free the people and free the economy, but it's just meaningless drivel. Okay, so let's put that one aside for a moment. The one that I really thought Kamala was going to go after Trump on was abortion, and we knew what all the things were going to be, right? It was going to be repeated lies about him calling for a national abortion ban, which he's repeatedly said he will not do, and he did again tonight. And that they're coming after women and just all the rest of it. Well, they did it. And I think Trump really did a nice job as, again, going 1 on 3 and having to defend his record on abortion and his actual record on abortion and the lies they were chucking at him.
You should ask, will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that? Why don't you ask her that question?
Why don't you answer
That's
the
problem.
question? Would you
because
veto?
under Roe v. Wade,
Answer the question. Would you veto?
You could do abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th
That's
month,
not true.
and probably after birth. Just look at the former governor of Virginia. The governor of Virginia said, we put the baby aside, and then we determine what we want to do with the baby.
President Trump, thank you.
If a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. So I think this was.
Yeah, so that was Ralph Northam, former Virginia governor, and everyone knows that's true. And by the way, then when Kamala Harris implied that, oh no, there are no 8-month, 9-month abortions, 7-month abortions, it's not legal, we don't want it. Well, guess what? Minnesota, where her buddy, her wannabe VP Walz is from, right now, they have no limits on abortion. Do we have something that says that? Yeah, you can look right there in the middle. Brock just pulled this up for us, and right there, the middle line is the key one. The statute does not include any specific prohibitions on abortions at any stage of pregnancy. So there you have it. I mean, again, this is just another one that she just lied about, and he actually was telling the truth. Now, then they talked about the border, and this is where Trump, I think, has obviously a huge advantage, because even Democrats now, the most deranged blue city Democrats, are realizing that their cities are being overrun and all of this stuff. And Kamala tried very sneakily to imply that, oh, if only Trump hadn't stopped some of the senators for voting for their bipartisan bill, we could have solved all of this. But Trump did a great job by challenging Kamala and Biden. Right now, sign an executive order, close that border. This was a really good moment.
I would say we would both leave this debate right now. I'd like to see her go down to Washington, D.C. during this debate, because we're wasting a lot of time. Go down to, because she's been so bad, it's so ridiculous. Go down to Washington, D.C. and let her sign a bill to close up the border, because they have the right to do it. They don't need bills. They have the right to do it. The President of the United States, you'll get him out of bed, you'll wake him up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you'll say, come on down to the office, let's sign a bill. If he signs a bill that the border is closed, all he has to do is say it to the Border Patrol, who are phenomenal. If they do that, the border is closed.
Mr.
Those
President,
people are killing many people, unlike J6.
All right, so you can see David Muir is not happy because he sees that Donald Trump is on a roll there, and he's a Democrat activist, masquerading as a journalist. But that Trump is completely right. You don't need a bipartisan bill or a partisan bill or anything else to close the border. You can do it via executive action. It's one of the few things that the President of the United States is actually supposed to do, is defend our borders. So she lied about the bipartisan deal, implying that only if they had got this bipartisan deal across, then we could defend the border. But Trump was completely right. How about we go right now from Philadelphia, wake up the old man, and sign something? Of course, she didn't have any response on that. I would say her most disgusting moment, and there were a lot, because every single thing that she said there was a lie. Please find me tomorrow, tonight. Email us if you can find stuff that she said that was authentic and true and substantive. Please send it to us, and I'll eat some crow on the show tomorrow. But here she is saying it is the anniversary of 9/11 tomorrow. I was in New York City on 9/11. Okay, I know people that died on 9/11. Here she is on the day before the anniversary of 9/11, saying that January 6th was the worst attack on democracy since the Civil War.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century. Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And what we have done is clean up Donald Trump's mess. What we have done and what I intend to do is build on what we know are the aspirations and the hopes of the American people.
Think how profoundly, I get it. She'll lie about anything. I get it. She's an NPC. She's just part of the machine. And she was kind of polished tonight. I think the sort of risk with her is that because we're so used to Venn diagrams and Ukraine small, Russia big, and all of that stuff with her, that the bar was set so low for her that she did do. Not even credit where credit is due. It's just the alien. It's that thing I always say about the alien. You got to respect the alien for doing what it wants to get done. She was polished enough for people to swallow a certain amount of the lies. But I'm sorry, that line is so absolutely disgusting. To say that January 6th was worse than 9/11. How many people died 9/11? It was 2,000. It was over 2,000 people, right? I think over 2,000 Americans. And then everything that happened after 9/11 because of 9/11. And she doesn't really care about that. She doesn't. It's just absolutely disgusting. And then when it comes to the lies, right? Like the absolute lies, like that one is just completely dismissive and grotesque. But the lies, of all the lies, I would say at this point, the Very Fine People hoax is the most psychotic of all the lies. It's one thing when you lie about, okay, his economic policy did this, or his tax rate did this, or even foreign policy, he did this, so then those guys did that. It's one thing when you lie about some of those things. The Very Fine People lie is so wildly out of control at this point and has been debunked so many times. And the fact that they still push the lie, and that David Muir and Lindsay, whatever her name is, that they sat there and did not fact check her on that. They didn't fact check her at all, actually. Shows you that the fix is in. That's what you need to know. Again, just behind the curtain. We're all seeing the truth if you want to see it. And I know why you wouldn't want to see it, because it's pretty depressing when you actually do see what's going on here. But think about it. They know that all the video in the world exists to very easily debunk the Very Fine People hoax. But here she is doing it one more time.
Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side.
Excuse me, they didn't put themselves down as you, and you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. But you know what? It's fine. You're changing history, you're changing culture, and you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists.
So think about this. I know you've heard me analyze this a million times, but this is sort of where we're at when we talk about a war on reality and lies and fake news and everything else. Kamala Harris knows, yes, I think she's evil. The Democrats have no principles at this point. They're in it with the media. It's all to launder the lies and everything else. But think about it. They know she knows that it's a complete hoax, very fine people on both sides. The very next sentence, he was talking about very fine people on both sides about the debate about taking down statues. And there are very fine people on both sides of that debate. What do you do about a statue of a controversial figure? Do you take it down? Do you move it to a museum? Do you put another monument next to it? Do you put a plaque up with some explanation? That is an actual debate, right? And there are very fine people who could make arguments on both sides of that. But the very next statement, I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis or the white supremacists. But it's not about that. What it's about is the fact that Kamala Harris knows she can go on stage when there are probably 60 million Americans, I don't know, something like that, watching this thing tonight, and she can abjectly lie. She can repeat a lie that has been debunked a jillion times. And in a debate where the moderators are fact-checking Donald Trump every 2 seconds, she knew they weren't going to fact-check her. Now, Trump, I think, could have done a better job there. He needed, and I know they were cutting the mic, so it's tough, but he needed to stop at some point, maybe in the next question, and say, David Muir, Lindsay, whatever your name is the very fine people thing true, yes or no? And have them do it. Vivek would have done that, right? We had seen him do that in a couple of debates. Now, I don't blame Trump for that. Like, you can't be perfect in all of these things, and he was fighting everybody all the time. But Donald Trump, I think, basically did what he needed to do. He did not exaggerate like crazy. He was a little defensive at times, which, again, at some point when you're being lied about and lied to over the course of an hour pretty consistently, you get a little defensive. But I think he laid out his record. I think he made a strong case for his stance on abortion and the economy and a whole bunch and foreign policy and Middle East and all of that stuff. So, as I said in my tweet before this thing, the narrative always flips then to who won, as if suddenly that means they got this many new voters. And that's just simply not true. Most people at this point know who they're voting for, right? How many people do you know that don't know who they're voting for? So there are some, right? There are some. The question is, does this move the needle? Does what you saw tonight move the needle? I think there might be, and again, I don't like to say this, but I'll give the devil his due. There might be some people who are like, I'm more of a Democrat actually, but Kamala comes off as an idiot, that maybe watched her tonight and they're just like, she's not an idiot, maybe I'll go in that direction. I don't know that Trump got new voters tonight, but I think he did a perfectly admirable job in bad circumstances, which is perfectly, let's say, congruent with the rest of his campaign. All of that is to say, it is going to be a long 6 or 7 weeks, 7.5 weeks, something like that at this point, because the lies are going to keep going. The machine will keep laundering them. They don't care. And I think Trump and everyone around him will have to level up throughout that because, again, Kamala lied about everything. I disagree with all her policies. I don't think she believes anything that she's saying, but she's just looking at the prize, right? Her eyes are on the prize. I want power. And I have all of these tools around me. I have news people around me and all of the activist class and everything around me to attain that power. So Trump needs to level up right now. I don't know exactly what that means. And he did do a good job, but I don't know that that moved anyone towards him. I sort of think you could see some people maybe. It's hard for me to get in that person's mind, but maybe you could see a little bit of that. But I would say it's sort of weird doing a nightly show where I should have been drinking some tequila and making more jokes. It was sort of depressing to watch. I'll tell you, when the very fine people thing was kicking in, just as you could see her starting to say it in Charlottesville, we all kind of sat back in our chairs at once, like deep breath. I think if I can quote myself, I said, "Oh fuck, she's actually about to do it." Like, that's kind of where we're all at. A certain amount of us see reality. We see the way the machine is just force feeding us nonsense. And then a certain amount of people are just going to swallow the lies. How do we arbitrage those two things? That really is going to be the challenge. I don't know that I have anything else. I think I have to, do you guys have anything else? Does anyone add anything to that? We ate some good pizza before this thing. That was pretty good. And somebody sent us a nice big box of hot honey. That was pretty sweet. Yeah, I can't tell you I'm walking out of this thing like, oh my God, this was so great. Like, I have to call it as I see it. And again, it's not really because Trump didn't do a good job. I think he did do a good job, but I don't know when I'm saying you got to level up now, I don't know exactly what that means. Like, you are fighting an unbelievably evil force. A mainstream media, it's not just Kamala. it's just an unbelievable force. And I don't know, maybe Trump needs to just keep going on the podcast and keep widening the things, go on Rogan, go wherever you got to go. I think he will continue to do that, but it feels like it needs a little shock to the system. But who knows? We'll see where this bears out in some of the the polls and the rest of it and everything else. But I think that's it for tonight. I think that's it. Yeah, everyone's giving me the nod. But you know what? We'll be back in how many hours? We're going to be back in about 12 hours. I'm actually going to make the entire team sleep in the small broom closet tonight. And there's one piece of pizza left. Good luck to all of you. All right, thanks for watching. I also, okay, that sounded a little depressing, the end there. I also didn't want to do a particularly long show right now because everyone just had to sit through that thing. There's a million things to watch. I think 20 minutes and 34 seconds is exactly right. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
It's a crazy world.